Welcome back to r/IDOWorkHereLady, where employees get mistaken for regular customers and where people assume that pregnant women are apparently not allowed to work anymore. Without any further ado, let's dive right into the stories. Yes sir, I'm working in your yard. You have an appointment. I am a service technician for the gas company. I am also the only female service technician for the gas company. This leads to confusion on a daily basis. So I arrived to a 9 to 12 appointment the other day at 9:05 AM. Super simple job: exchange gas meter, inspect gas equipment in the house, relight equipment, then be on my way to my next call. We get 30 minutes allotted for each job like this, but dispatch understands that this does not always work. Sometimes it takes 15 minutes if the old meter was installed well and the gas equipment is all new. But sometimes it takes 3 hours if I have to rebuild their whole service and coax an old boiler back to life. I grab my tools out of the truck, grab a new meter and head to the front door. The call says, "Hazard dog." So I figure it's best to check in with the customer before I head into the yard. I knock and ring the doorbell, no answer. So I pull the customer's number off of the call and give him a ring. Me: "Good morning, this is Funktionierende from the gas company. You have a meter exchange appointment booked for this morning. Is anyone at home?" Customer:
"Not at the moment. Is the tech there already?"
Me: "Yes sir, I am here at address. Will you be home soon?" Customer:
"Yes, tell the tech to wait. I will be home in about 15 minutes.
Me: "Okay, I will wait for you. Can I start working in the yard or is your dog outside?" But the customer just hangs up, so I decide to wait. Anyway, it's around minus 28 degrees outside, minus 40 with the wind chill. I am bundled up, but I'm going to be outside all day, so I decide to wait in the truck to preserve my warmth. I drop my tools and the new meter off at the gate to the yard and sit in my truck until the customer pulls into the driveway. When the customer arrives, I immediately sit my truck off and jog over to the house. Customer:
"So I spoke with someone in the office and they said the tech was already here. Where is he? I have to get back to work soon. I cannot wait here all morning."
Me: "I am the tech, sir. And that was me that you spoke with. If you're all good, I will get that meter changed out for you. Then get your furnace and water heater going." Customer:
"Well, if you say so, but if that's the case, where are your tools?"
Me: "Over by the gate. I left them there so they would be ready to go when you got here." Customer:
Okay. Say, how long have you been doing this?"
Me: "This specifically? A little over a year. Working in the industry? Almost 9 years. Customer:
"Okay, go ahead. You don't have anyone coming to help you?"
Me: "No sir, this is a very simple job. I should be able to have it done in 15 or 20 minutes or so. And the call said you have a dangerous dog. Is it contained?" Customer:
"He's a 12-year-old beagle. You're fine. I don't know why anyone thought he was dangerous."
So I could have started almost 3/4 of an hour ago at this point, and my next 2 calls were in jeopardy because of how long I had been here at this point. So I get to work and sure enough, his meter set is in pretty rough shape. I pull the meter off with some difficulty and my largest wrenches and then start cranking some of the bad fittings out so I can rebuild part of the set to make this job easier the next time we have to change the meter and generally be safer. He was leaning over my shoulder the whole time, continually asking if I was sure I know what I'm doing, if I really don't need to call for help. I got my fitting done and went inside. Sure enough, the gas equipment was all high efficiency, so all it took was a couple resets to clear out the air bubbles and it all fired up perfectly. The call took about an hour once I actually had my tools on, which is a little longer than anticipated, but a very good time frame for the work I wound up having to do to leave the place in a safe condition. A very good time frame, mind you, for any tech who could have had the call. As I was gathering my things to go, he got one last jab in.
"You know, I would really appreciate it if they would actually send a real tech next time. I don't feel comfortable having one of the office girls doing this kind of work for me. I'm going to have a word with gas company and tell them as much."
Me: "Sir, for the last time, I am a qualified service technician." The next customer was a very sweet old lady who met me at the door and immediately presented me with muffins. They told me you were coming even though it should be illegal to work in this temperature. I made muffins. Take them. You deserve it. They really should not be making you work in this. The question is, what is worse? These horrible temperatures or stuck-up old guys who seemingly don't have enough self-confidence to admit that a woman can apparently do a job better than them. If any of my viewers also work in a field like that as a woman, please let us know about your experiences in the comments. The next one is titled, I can pull out my badge for you. So I work in a retail/drugstore establishment. Heavy stream of people from opening to closing. And I have been with this one specific store for over 4 years now. Always got mistaken for employees in other stores, but the situation never got bad. Never have I ever had a customer do anything except ask the big question and then apologize. But this? Oh, this was new. I just walked into my own store, normally carry a bag with my uniform in it so I can throw it over my current shirt just in case I have to stop somewhere before or after work for anything. Just for this story's exact reason. It is a straight walk from the front door to the break room. And as I put my hand on the door, this lady starts snapping her fingers and doing the sound you normally try to use on a pet or child if they are misbehaving. Of course, this grabs my attention and of course she's looking right at me. Lady.
No, you're not allowed back there.
Me? Pardon? Lady.
That is for employees only. Are you deaf? You children are not allowed back there. Where's your parent? They need to discipline you for going into restricted areas.
I am in my 20s with obvious tattoos at that, and I realize what she means. Me? I'm sorry ma'am, but I am one of the employees. My uniform is in my bag. I can show you my badge too, if that is not sufficient. But my shift is about to start and I need to get ready. I pushed open the door and stepped in before she tried speaking again. Had to start my shift but was expecting her to storm in. Never did. And when I came out in the uniform, I did not even see her in the store anymore. The store manager came up while I was at the register after a few minutes of the shift starting and said someone tried to tell her a child was in our break room attempting to steal the employees' items, and she had to tell the customer that I was in fact an employee after hearing the lady describe what I looked like. Wish I could have seen that conversation go down. Have you guys ever been mistaken as a customer at your workplace? Let us know in the comments. Oh, you work here? Pregnant ladies don't work. A little bit of backstory. I am 15 and at the time I was looking for a job and my mom works at a thrift store and she was 7 months pregnant. Okay, but anyway, I went to my mom's work with her because it was a Saturday and my mom wanted to show me around the thrift shop she owned and still owns. This was about 2 years ago and I was a little naive at the time. So my mom was showing me around, you know, the storage room, break room, all that stuff. So the first customer came in and I watched her help them and I watched her help a few more customers. She was working up front because most of the employees did not show up for another few hours and the others were on break or something. Then a girl who, yes, had a Karen hairstyle walked in holding her kid's hand. This is how the conversation went. I'm just gonna call her Karen. Karen.
Hello ma'am, I would like to look at scarves.
Mom, we don't have any on the shelves right now, but I could bring some from the back for you to look at. Karen took a look at my mom and said,
Can I get a real employee please? Like that girl sitting behind you.
Mom, sorry ma'am, she's just watching me work and I'm the only person working right now. I would be glad to help you. Karen,
stop lying. Pregnant women don't go to work, they stay at home.
I must have chuckled because Karen glared at me and said,
Sweetie, you in the chair, come help me get a scarf and call the real manager.
Me? Ma'am, I am her daughter watching her work so I can try it out myself. She is the manager. Karen looked at me, shocked, as one of the employees walked in from break. Karen,
I'm calling the police.
Employee? Ma'am, what is going on? Karen,
these 2 fake employees are telling me they are out of scarves and being rude. She's saying she's the manager.
The employee laughed and said, Ma'am, that is my boss. We are gonna have to ask you to leave. Karen's face turned red and she stormed out of the shop. Her kid looked embarrassed for a 5-year-old. I don't know, this might have been an entitled parent. I have not been on Reddit that long. I would say that is a mix of entitled parent and r/IDOWorkHereLady. But either way, if you have watched until here, please don't forget to post some star emojis in the comments and also like the video if you would like to support me. Thank you very much. Yes, I did not used to work here, now I do work here. Disclaimer, this is a minor incident which I still find funny, no one got fired and no divine retribution was had. Just a long story of working for 2 different companies in the same building. Back in the summers of 2004 and 2005, I did some part-time helper work for a land surveying company that rented half a building from a fire alarm company. They were not using the whole building and our CADD engineers needed some cubicles and an office for our plant's printer. I met some interesting people and got my first exposure to construction site safety wisdom that has stuck with me over the years. There were some good days and bad days, but I became more responsible from working 2 summers there between school semesters. The main reason I got the job was that my father worked at the fire alarm company that shared the same building and put in a good word to help me get a summer job. Because my dad's office was on the other side of the building, I would occasionally venture past the invisible barrier to see him before heading home after work. I still lived at home at the time, so if our schedules aligned, we drove together, though I had weird overtime hours, so that did not happen often. After a few times of being redirected back to the land surveyor side of the building, the office knew who I was and did not mind me. Fast forward a few years and I was looking for another full-time job. I averaged about 3 to 4 years with a company and was looking for work. It just so happens that I had some experience in building fire alarm panels in the back shop. By this time, the land surveyors and the fire alarm company had both grown too big to share the same building, so they got their own shop further into town and the fire alarm company spread out over the building. They were now big enough to fill. The hiring manager was different from the time I had been with my land surveying, but about 3/4 of the rest of the office still remember me from back then working for the other company. And yes, my dad helped get my foot in the door, but I got the job on my own merit and after going through training and going to the back shop to assemble the fire alarm panels, huge industrial cabinets that's more efficient to just build in-house as opposed to in the field, I started to get odd looks from engineers who remember me from years before. One dude told me that just because my dad worked in an office down the hall does not mean I should be messing with company property. I was marched into my dad's office as the engineer told him what he caught me doing. We were both a bit confused. My dad was not a company owner or even a manager, he was the accountant, so he pointed across the hall to where my manager's office was and said, "So, talk to his manager about it." The engineer was a bit confused but took me down to the manager who confirmed I did work here. She was a bit confused as to why this engineer would think I did not work here just because I was new. It was fun to explain how I had been wandering the halls as a non-employee for so long to see my dad at work and that now that I actually worked there it might cause a bit of confusion. I ended up breaking my continuous work record and staying there 6 years before the company was bought by a larger company. But it was a funny story of how I was mistaken for not working there for a semi-legitimate reason. Guys, I'm curious, what was the longest time you have worked at one company? Feel free to let us know in the comments. And the next story is gonna be from r/ripestories and is not concerned with r/IDOWorkHereLady. But in case you're new around here, at the end of each episode I include a few stories from our own subreddit, where subscribers can post their own stories in order for me to read them in a video. The first one was posted by Real Farfal Alfredo and is titled Crazy Customer Questions. Working at a certain blue big box store that has a people of website, you can gather I get a lot of dumb questions. Usually it's people looking for a product that is just one aisle over, like someone coming up to me in the cereal aisle and asking why they cannot find pepper. I don't think anybody stocks pepper with breakfast cereal, but who knows, maybe someday Cheerios will make it as a new flavor. I am a smartass, so I get snarky when I can, but do it with a smile, so most customers don't get that I am being snarky. You cannot find pepper because you went one aisle too far. I would not suggest looking for it in breakfast cereal. The two don't go together very well. Last night I was working stocking baby items, formula, baby food, bottles, blankets, etc. Anything except clothes because that's handled by a different department. In most big box stores, people who work in clothing do only clothing and people elsewhere in the store do not work with the clothing at all. My store has a display of Frozen 2 clothing and shoes in the main aisle about 15 feet from where I was working stocking baby food. There was a clothing employee not 5 feet away from the display straightening displays. This guy comes up to me and asks,
"Do you know anything about Frozen 2?
Smart as me answers, "No, I haven't seen it yet." Guy looks confused, guess he did not get the sarcasm, and pointed to the display and asked,
Do they have pajamas?
Again, smart as me says, "For yourself?" Confused guy just stared, so I pointed to the employee who was now straightening the Frozen 2 displayer and directed him there and said I could not answer clothing questions since I don't work with clothing, as should be obvious by my cart full of baby food. Later on, I am on break and going to the bathroom. There's a man and who I assume and hope was his daughter standing in front of the single stall family bathroom. Man asks,
Is there a key?
I simply say, "No." Guy says,
But it is locked.
Smartass says, "Usually that means someone is using it."
Man, so how do we get in there?
Smartass, "You wait for the person currently in there to finish and exit, then you may enter." And this is when I go into the ladies' room. When I came out, the guy and girl were gone, so I assume they finally figured out how the door worked. I gotta say, some people are experts at asking stupid questions. You know, back when I was in school, teachers said there are no stupid questions. But seriously, I beg to differ. The next one was also posted by the same OP and is titled, "I am nobody, I just want to pee. I work at a particular blue big box store in the back room unloading trucks. Tonight we got a late start with the truck because the geniuses who made the schedule forgot to schedule cart pushers, so the first hour of the shift my team was cart wrangling in the parking lot. We are about 2 hours into unloading the truck and the can of Dr. Pepper I drank before my shift was working its way through my system. We hit a slow spot in my zone, so I said I would be right back and went to use the bathroom. I barely get in the door when I'm accosted by a woman in a motor cart who has a small dog with her. I don't know breeds, but it looked like an oversized chihuahua. Apparently, she was upset that another customer said something about her having her service pet. And that is the term she used, service pet, at the store. A child saw the dog and said, "Oh, puppy," and the mom pulled the kid away and said,
Be careful, you will get bit.
This of course made the woman in the cart angry because how dare someone disrespect her service pet? Couldn't they see it was a service pet? I told her that I was a nobody in the store, I was just trying to get to the bathroom before I made a puddle on the floor. Since there really was nothing we could do because we cannot control what other people do, but I did direct her to the service desk if she wanted to talk to a manager. And I did remind her that pets are not allowed in the store, but since I am a nobody, I don't have the authority to kick them out. I don't know if she ever asked for the manager, but my supervisor was a little miffed that I spent so long away from my area and my work got backed up. Told him about the dog Lady. I figure the next time I need to go potty, I will take off my vest and my name tag. And the next story was posted by Glowstick006 and is titled Tank Origin of the Legend. And if you remember, a couple of days ago we read a story about a dog named Tank who was an absolute legend. So I was trolling the comments on the video with Tank's story, and well, I figured I would share the story of his army bred roots and his greatest enemy. I sent an email to the contact info expecting nothing, shocked I got an email back from the guy who was Tank's listed contact. The long and short of it, Tank was a great doggo, until now you can skip to the bottom. The reason they gave him up was actually due to the wife of the soldier. She was pregnant, living on base. The soldier's duty had him away the majority of the time and she gave birth to the child. I guess postpartum depression, I think I got the spelling correct, was really bad for her. She ended up moving from Germany to Iowa to live with his or her parents, not entirely sure, while soldier completed his duty. The dog was unable to adjust to the grandfather. Tank was, as far as I know, born in North Carolina, moved to Germany with soldier as a pup, was then moved to western Iowa. Then Illinois. Let me pause here to say that the family was happy and healthy, they hit a hard spot and did what was best for the baby. They gave Tank to an organization who then transferred Tank to a shelter in Iowa. He was then adopted for around 4 months and dropped at the place I got him. He was there for about 12 months, broken up with 2 families who tried before I took him home. Since I've had him, he has gotten certified as a spoiled dog, learned to hunt/track above average, and received a security license. He loves my kids and is absolutely perfect with them. I'm still mindful that he is a living creature and teach him and the kids how to coexist. Almost forgot his greatest enemy: deer meat, antlers and hoofs. He's fine with everything else: rabbit, squirrel, fish, beef, chicken, turkey, elk, goat, turtle, etc. He just acts like a hypercat on catnip when it comes to deer. And before Ripe can add/ask it, what is the strangest meat you guys have eaten? Well, Ripe, I would have to say it was mystery meat at school. I have eaten a lot of strange stuff and still cannot tell you what that was actually supposed to be. Well, Glowstick, I gotta say, I'm pretty mad at you now because you took away the question I wanted to ask. But anyway, thank you for posting the origin story of Tank. I think the entire comment section loved your dog, so this story is very much appreciated. And unfortunately guys, I have to say it, I know you don't like it, but this has to be the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's content, and I hope you have a fantastic day, and I see you again tomorrow. Thank you for watching.